Hello, Historical Faith Society. I'm excited to have Dr. Dan Biddle here, and he is the president of Genesis Apologetics. And we're excited to be able to talk about some of the movies he has. And one of them, Dan, welcome, by the way, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
We've talked on the phone a number of times over the past few years.
Indeed.
And I have seen a movie that you created. And everyone, I want you to know this is a really significant film. It's so well done. The film is called Genesis Impact.
That's it. Yeah, just genesisimpact.com. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that movie and how it got made and why it's important. So the first one is, how did this movie get made?
You know, we wanted to feature what it looked like to be both meek, confident, and truthful in a dialogue with an atheist. And so we had a gal actress that came across and very much in that way, very meek but powerful and confident, dialoguing with a very bold evolutionist. And of course, it's a drama, so it's about a 40-minute piece. But this young gal, maybe high school or college age, interacting with a museum docent over about the top 10 or 12 pillars of evolution that are typically represented at natural history museums. And we just loved the way that it came out because she was able to deconstruct his main evolutionary pillars in a way that was very Christian, if you were, in a way that was very, very meek, that ended up flipping the evolutionary docent at the end. So we were happy to see it come out that way.
Yeah, well, how about if we take a look at one of the scenes from this movie, because this is so well done, and what you would learn from this is really the truth behind, I found when I do interviews, the second or third question that goes deeper sort of unravels people's theories, and that's what you're going to see. So let's take a look at a clip.
You know, we have several fossils that show evolutionary steps between ape-like creatures and humans. Take Lucy, for example. She's probably the best evidence of human evolution. She's displayed in museums and school textbooks around the world as the leading ape-to-human icon. Well, here, check out this short BBC video narrated by Dr. Donald Johansen, the person who found Lucy.
We now have 400 specimens of Lucy's species, Australopithecus afarensis, named after the Afar region. And we know that there are very large individuals, which were males, and the smaller ones are certainly female.
Did they really find hundreds of complete skeletons like they show on the video?
No. Here's what they actually found. What they mean by 400 specimens is 400 bone pieces, and over 30% of those are teeth. So no, there's only enough to display on a picnic table. So here's Lucy, and the rest of the fossils they believe are from her species. They're scattered on the table. I'm sure you can only fill a bucket or two with them.
That sure doesn't look like what they show on the video when they say they found 400 specimens. It looks like they're exaggerating quite deliberately. When it comes to Lucy's fossils specifically, did they find her bones at the same place, and were they all connected?
No. She was found in hundreds of pieces scattered across a 3-meter area on a hillside. They sifted a total of 20 tons of sediment, covering 50 square meters, to find what resulted in only about 20% of all of her bones. But they didn't find any hand or feet bones, except for one small finger bone.
Yet you showed us pictures of Lucy rendered by different artists with human-like hands, feet, and even eye whites. Could you pull that one up? Do apes even have eye whites, like the picture you showed?
No. Look, I know that Lucy has some limitations. They didn't find much of her, but remember, Lucy is 3.2 million years old, and we have a few million years of ape-to-human progression since then.
Okay, tell me about the next million years. From, say, 3 million to 2 million years ago, what does the fossil record look like during that period?
The fossil record is quite sparse during that period.
How sparse?
Well, Dr. Kimball, the director of the Institute of Human Origins, said due to how rare the Homo fossils are from 2 to 3 million years ago, you could probably fit all of the fossils into a small shoebox. and still have room for a good pair of shoes.
Don't you think that's an unusually long time to go without any supposed transitions between apes to humans? So, Charles Darwin said, "As by evolution theory, innumerable transitional forms must have existed. Why do we not find them embedded in countless numbers in the crust of the earth?" He also said, "Why is not every geological formation and every stratum full of such intermediate links? Geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain, and this is the most obvious and serious objection which can be urged against the theory."
You seem to have come prepared with props and books just like I have.
I'm just trying to understand. I mean, when you look at the big picture, how many ape to human fossils are there, all in all?
Well, according to Dr. Tattersall, you could fit it all in the back of a pickup truck if you didn't mind how much you jumbled everything up.
All the evidence for the entire human line?
Yes, look, I'm not saying we have hundreds and hundreds of clear connections between ape-like creatures and humans. The record is in fact sparse. I'm admitting that.
That was remarkable, Dan. I mean, just how she asked those questions. When we think about young people seeing this movie, what kind of impact is this film having on young people now?
You know, it's amazing, Tim, because in the state of California, at least, and it's very similar with other states, students these days get 250 pages of evolution teaching that covers 50 hours of course room instruction between really about third and fourth grade all the way up to high school. So they're being indoctrinated in this idea of evolution. And if you take all of the supposed evidence that they have of ape-like creatures that supposedly led from apes to humans, you could take all of that collection and put it into the back of a pickup truck. Some experts say in a bathtub. So it's very, very scant amount of evidence. And when you drill down and look on Lucy specifically, she's the top icon that's being featured in sixth grade textbooks, world civilization textbooks around the country. And oftentimes they're spending 2 full weeks studying that icon and human evolution in general. So what it's doing to their faith is most kids come in with very, very lightweight apologetics from Sunday school class, and they're taught that the Bible's full of stories, like the Noah's Ark story or the creation story and everything. But then when they get into sixth grade and they're met with Lucy for 2 weeks, they're steeped in evidence and apologetics and all kinds of information that seems to be very convincing to them. So it creates this friction in their mind that psychologists call cognitive dissonance. How could the Bible be true and this evolution stuff be true at the same time? And it creates friction that disallows their mind to join their hearts in their faith experience, and it really cripples the effectiveness of our students today.
Yes. In fact, what ends up happening is they start to become agnostics, lots of questions, and eventually, as I've heard from some people, their children go off to college first, they come back the first, for Thanksgiving, and they go, "I'm an atheist. I don't believe any of this." But the sad part is that what they've been told is actually not true. And my understanding, as I look at it, is that they haven't been told. They've been shown sort of a smoke and mirrors apologetic of evolution. And if you start to look at the connections, like what you're showing in this film, and that's the reason why I wanted you, Dan. I was so happy that you made this film, and I think everybody who's a part of this needs to see this film. It is so well done because it answers all these different questions, or should I say it raises all sorts of questions to their answers. And when you get done with it, you just realize there's nothing there.
It's like going up to a dam that's got a crack on it, and all it takes is your finger to put in there, and then all the water's going to come pouring out. I mean, if Lucy is the best shot that they have, and depending upon how you look at it, they have between 20 and 40% of her supposed remains, including the thoracic vertebrae that they just identified actually belong to an extinct baboon. So at least parts of her skeleton are not really belonging to her. And she's a 3.5 foot tall monkey that weighed about 60 pounds. definitely not on her way to becoming human. And then on CNN, they just featured the fact that scientists have now determined that because of green stick fractures in her wrists and her hips, she died while trying to break her fall from falling 40 feet out of a tree while traveling 35 miles an hour. So what is a supposedly bipedal ape doing 40 feet up in a tree and falling to her death trying to brace her fall? And if that's the best shot that they have, and they had to find Lucy by sifting through meters and meters worth of material and tons of tons worth of material to find 20 to 40% of her supposed skeleton, and that's the best shot they have over decades of excavating, that's the number one leading icon, you know it's a shallow sham. That's what it all comes down to. But it's deceiving kids. And dare I say, sadly, it's working. These kids are buying it hook, line, and sinker because they're surrounded by movies and stories and natural history museums and school and parents. They're being inundated with this idea of evolution. And it's really pushing the Bible to their bottom of their framework and the secular science to the top.
Well, what ends up happening, and what I found with patterns of evidence, is that you have to ask the second and the third and the fourth question. When you start doing that, and that's what I think the style that you've used, is that it starts to unravel. And it reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. You know, there is the wizard that's behind the curtain. I mean, and there's lots of smoke and all that coming out of that character, but behind it, there's not as much there. We're going to get more into that in the future. As I've stayed away from a little bit of the Genesis, there's a number of people working in that, but I really appreciate what you're doing. And we're going to come back and talk with you again about some of the other projects that you've got. But how do people get access to this film? Let's talk about that first.
Sure. The best place to start is just go to our website, which is just genesisapologetics.com. And then you can look down and find the graphic that shows the Genesis Impact movie. Click there, and it's a free watch on YouTube, or they can download it from Amazon Prime or request a DVD, whatever they like. But we push out all of our content free because we don't want money to stand in the way of people getting the truth. So it's right there. And there's the neat thing about Genesis Impact is there's 13 supporting videos that go deeper into the topics covered by the movie. So I think we have like a total of 3 hours worth of content there. And it's a great movie to watch before families take vacations to natural history museums over the summer. So before you set foot into a museum, be sure to watch that movie and some of the supporting videos.
It's so well done. It's dramatic, and what I think you need to do is take your kids or your grandkids, have a popcorn night, and this is a got to see. This is a must-see film for you, and we're going to come back. So what are we going to talk about when we get back, Dan?
How about the training programs that we have, the Debunk Evolution and the 7 Myths program? That would be great.
All right, we're going to do that next time. So, all right, stay tuned, Historical Faith Society members. We'll be back with another episode in a little bit.